Three women walked into a house in Springfield, Missouri, on the night of June 6, 1992. None of them ever walked out. Their names were Cheryl Levitt, her daughter Susie Clark, and Susie's friend Stacy McCall. Cheryl was 47, Susie and Stacy were 19, both recent high school graduates who had spent that evening at a graduation party. At some point late that night, Stacy came back to Susie's house on East Delmar Street to sleep over. Three women, one house, one night. By the next morning, all three of them were gone. What makes this case different from most disappearances is not just the absence of the women, it is the absence of any evidence that anything happened to them. The house was undisturbed. There were dishes in the sink. The television was on. Food was in the refrigerator. Purses, wallets, cars, all three of their cars, were still in the driveway and on the street outside. The only thing out of place was the porch light. The globe covering the light on the front porch had been broken. Pieces of glass had been swept into a neat pile. Someone had broken it and then cleaned up after themselves. Cheryl Levitt's boyfriend became concerned when she didn't show up for plans they had made. He went to the house. He found it exactly as described, everything in place, no signs of struggle, no women. He called police. Investigators canvassed the neighborhood. Nobody had heard anything. Nobody had seen anything unusual. Three women had simply stopped existing sometime between late evening and early morning. There were tips. There were always tips. A woman called to say she had seen a man in the neighborhood that night, walking slowly, watching houses. Her description was vague. The lead went nowhere. A convicted rapist named Robert Craig Cox told a friend that he knew where the bodies were buried and that they would never be found. Cox had a history of violence against women. He was in the Springfield area at the time. He was questioned multiple times over the years. He has never been charged. He has never provided any information. He has maintained, with what investigators have described as unsettling calm, that he knows what happened and is simply choosing not to say. The FBI became involved. The case was featured on national television programs. Tips poured in from across the country. None of them led anywhere concrete. There was a man seen at the graduation party that Susie and Stacy attended that night. Someone who didn't belong, who nobody seemed to know, who was watching the girls. He was never identified. There was speculation about the porch light, that it had been broken to darken the approach to the front door, that whoever came that night had prepared, had been watching, had known the layout. No bodies have ever been found. Cheryl Levitt, Susie Clark, and Stacy McCall were declared legally dead years after their disappearance, but their cases remain open homicide investigations. Springfield, Missouri is not a large city. This happened in a residential neighborhood. Someone did this within earshot of other houses, other families, other people sleeping with their windows open on a summer night in 1992. And nobody heard a thing. Stacy McCall's mother has given interviews over the years. She has never stopped. She has described what it is to live for decades without an answer, not knowing whether her daughter suffered, not knowing where she is, not knowing who did this, or why these three women were chosen. The porch light was broken and swept into a neat pile. That detail has never left investigators. The care of it, the deliberateness. Someone stood on that porch and cleaned up after themselves before going inside. 30 years later, nobody knows who that was.